This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
So Del Greco juices the Astrodome a little bit by connecting on try number 2 from 54 and bringing the Oilers back to within 7. Bob Costas along with the Juice, as always, and for this weekend, Buddy Ryan joining us in the studio. And let's talk about your old team, Philadelphia, right off the bat. They're in front of Denver 17-0 as they approach halftime at the Vet. Cunningham with a pair of touchdown passes. Calvin Williams and Fred Barnett doing the honors. But it's been the defense that's really been the story.
Oh, they're smothering Denver. They less than 50 yards offense, I think Denver has. So it's no contest. The Eagle defense is just all over them.
OJ?
Well, I'm not surprised to see that the Denver offense is having some problems there. Normally somewhat inconsistent offensively. They want to keep a game close and that let Elway work his magic late in the game. But the way Philly is playing them defensively, I'm surprised at how diverse Philly's offense is coming into this weekend. I thought the 49ers and the Cowboys were the best team, along with the Bills, the best team in football. I got to put Philly right up there with them.
Let's look at a couple of examples. They both involve Andre Waters, the controversial safety for the Eagles. Let's watch this. The catch is going to be made here by Mark Jackson, and he's going to be splattered by Waters. A clean hit, an incompletion, not a fumble.
Oh, that's bare football. That's getting after it. And that's the way it's supposed to be played.
Shovel pass here to Shannon Sharp, and
Andre only weighs 180 pounds. He has to take those big guys on low every now and then. Does an excellent job.
You take issue rather vehemently with those who have characterized him as a dirty player, right?
Oh, yes. He's an all-out player. He's a winning player. He has to play on a low plane because he's so small.
What about late hits, though?
Well, everybody in the league has some late hits, but some of his have been magnified by people in the media.
All right. I wish we had time to elaborate on that, but we don't, so that gets everybody off the hook. It's 17-0 late in the second. Same score at the Meadowlands. 49ers in front of the Jets, 17-0. Steve Young has a touchdown pass to Jerry Rice. Rice's 94th career touchdown reception. Steve Largent's league record is 100. Young has also run for a touchdown, and Kofer has a 45-yard field goal. All good news for the Niners, but the bad news, John Taylor, fractured left fibula, the great wide receiver, out for a minimum of 6 weeks. In the game you folks are watching, Kansas City with the lead at the Astrodome, 13-6 at halftime. Cincinnati, despite 3 first-quarter turnovers, has a 10-0 lead approaching halftime at Lambeau Field. Don Majkowski, the quarterback for the Packers, has been replaced by Brett Favre after injuring his left ankle, and it looks as if it's a sprain, but they won't know for sure until they've taken x-rays at halftime. So Majkowski out and Brett Favre in. This is one of these tough names. But what do you care about my problems? Brett Favre is in at quarterback, and let's take a look at the big play in the first half. And this is a punt return for a touchdown. Watch this. It'll be Carl Pickens. He'll start to his right. He'll come back all the way across the field left, and 95 yards later, he's in the end zone at Lambeau Field for the only touchdown of the first half, and the Bengals have the lead, trying to take their record to 3-0 over the 0-2 Packers. 10-0 at this point, not quite to halftime. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. The score in this one, 10-7 in favor of the Bucs. They're 2-0. The Vikings are 1-1. They're just a few minutes from halftime. Both quarterbacks, starters, are out. Rich Gannon bruised his right hand. Sean Salisbury has replaced him at quarterback for the Vikings. Vinny Testaverde also injured his throwing hand, and Steve DeBerg has come in to replace him at quarterback for the Buccaneers. New Orleans and Atlanta, no score. Now the Falcons just got a touchdown at the Georgia Dome to grab the lead 7-0, and Seattle has a 7-0 lead at New England, not quite to halftime. Coming up, Gail Gardner, following the commercial break, visits with the former Giant, now Cleveland Brown tight end Mark Bavaro. We do it after this word from the National Football League and a message from your local stations.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
All right, Bob Costas back in New York. The Juice here as always. Buddy Ryan, our guest in the studio this weekend. We'll talk with them in just a moment. But first to the scoreboard. Cleveland, believe it or not, with Todd Philcox at quarterback, and he threw a 4-yard touchdown pass to Eric Metcalf. Metcalf a 6-yard run for the other one. Leading the Raiders and their new starting quarterback, Todd Marinovich, who hasn't done poorly in the first half, but hasn't gotten them to the end zone yet. 14-0 late in the second. Washington has never lost to the Lions at home. The Redskins over the years 16-0 against Detroit in D.C., and Washington leading at halftime in this one 10-3. Chip Lohmiller had a 53-yard field goal just before halftime. Coming up toward halftime in Dallas, and the Cowboys in front of Phoenix 21-10. Aikman has thrown 2 touchdown passes to Michael Irvin, one of 41 yards, the other of 87 yards. And the Cowboys lead by 11. In the game you folks are watching, 7-6 Pittsburgh at the half, though it could have been something different had Ronnie Harmon been able to slip by that last guy after catching the Hail Mary pass off the deflection. Miami has the halftime lead at home over the Rams, 17-0. They get all 17 points in the first quarter, 2 Marino touchdown passes. Now, these are games that are finals now. Philadelphia holds Denver to 4 first downs, 82 total yards. Randall Cunningham throws for 3 touchdowns. He runs for 49 yards. He's thrown 8 TDs for the year and hasn't had one intercepted. Eagles are 3-0. Broncos 2-1, 30-0, the final at the vet. San Francisco over the Jets, 31-14. Jets fall to 0-3. Frisco is 2-1. Steve Young, 2 TD passes and a touchdown run. And they lost, however, John Taylor for at least 6 weeks, and one report says 8 weeks, with a broken left fibula. The wide receiver of the 49ers sustaining that injury in the first quarter. Houston wins in overtime over Kansas City, 23-20. They come from behind to do it. They trailed 13-7. 2 Moon touchdown passes in the fourth quarter gave them a 20-13 lead. Then Kansas City scored on a Todd McNair run with 20 seconds to go from 3 yards out, forced overtime, but Kansas City turned the ball over after receiving the overtime kickoff, and Al Del Greco kicked the winning field goal in overtime for the Oilers. They win it 23-20. Green Bay and Cincinnati, perhaps the wildest game of the day at Lambeau Field. Mike Holmgren with his first victory as a head coach. David Shula with his first defeat, and the Packers win it 24-23. Don Majkowski knocked out of the game with an injured left ankle, ligament damage. We're not sure how long he will be out. Off a Green Bay punt, Carl Pickens, the rookie out of Tennessee, for the Bengals in the second quarter, gives them a 10-0 lead by bringing this one back 95 yards after reversing his field. It was 10-0 when he scored. They went up 17-3 at one point, but early in the fourth quarter, the Packers came alive. Here's their rookie, Terrell Buckley, their first-round pick out of Florida State. He answers with a punt return touchdown of his own. This one covers 58 yards. It's 17-10. Backup quarterback Brett Favre, in place of Majkowski, will hit Sterling Sharp here. Late in the fourth quarter with the 5-yard touchdown, he lunges across. They trail 20-17. After a Cincinnati field goal made it 23-17, the ball at the 35, 19 seconds left, no timeouts remaining. They go for it all. Favre pumps once, goes down the sideline to Kittrick Taylor, the 35-yard game winner, the extra point, actually the margin of difference, and Green Bay wins it 24-23. Minnesota wins at home. They're 2-1. So too are the Buccaneers following the defeat. 26-20 is the final at the Metrodome. New Orleans with a big divisional win at the Georgia Dome over the Falcons. Low-scoring game, and surprisingly so, 10-7. Morton Anderson wins it with a 47-yard field goal with just under 2 minutes left. And Seattle has their first victory under their new head coach, Tom Flores. They beat New England by a score of 10-6. They sacked Hugh Millen 6 times, and Chris Warren carried 24 times for 122 yards in the Seahawks victory. Let's turn now to Buddy Ryan. Thoughts on the Chargers and the Steelers?
Well, I think both teams are playing well, but they're just, they got to score more points. They get opportunities. They got to make them count.
OJ?
I'm watching this Raider game, and I just think that the Raiders must have been fat coming into this game, going up against a Cleveland team without Kozar or Michael Dean Perry. There's been so much talk about the quarterback there. I think the other players are going to have to get it together. And being from San Francisco, Bob, it's never Frisco.
You know, people in San Francisco don't like Frisco. They don't like Cincy in Cincinnati. They don't like Philly in Philadelphia. And to anyone that I've offended through the years, for too many reasons to count, my sincere apologies. Mark Bavaro, late of the Giants, now the Browns, the subject of Gail Gardner's feature. And that comes up right after this break.